Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I put out a video, so I thought it was time that I kind of got caught up on things. One of the major issues that was noted in the survey was the compression post. It was noted that the compression post had collapsed about an inch. When I removed the compression post, which I did in a previous video, I found no sign of any kind of collapse, although there was a lot of corrosion at the bottom of the compression post. So I looked into what I should do to replace that, and I had a new compression post fabricated, and that took a little bit of time for them to do over the summer, just because my project, because I don't want to be in the water this year, wasn't high on their priority list, which I agreed with. I said, you know, if the other boats that need to get their stuff done, do them first. They need to be in the water. I've got lots of other work I can do, and that was Claco Marine. And after about 6 weeks, the compression post was done. I picked it up, and here's what I did to install it. The new compression post has arrived. Actually, I picked it up yesterday in Toronto, and there it is. I've trial fit it once. I had to grind away some of the epoxy that was holding the previous compression post in place. There needs to be more ground away just to clean it up, but it can go in. Now it fits quite nicely. There's just enough room to get it in. So the next step is to grind all the remainder of that out and just make it nice and clean and move on from there. I cleaned out the bilge and got rid of all the epoxy that was around the previous compression post. It's all cleaned out now. I ground the area down, and now I got to measure for the shim that's going to fit underneath the compression post. That's the next step. Before I put the compression post in permanently, I want to paint all this area so it's nice and clean. And it's moving ahead. It's fitting right in the center now. I had to, I turned it around and it seems to fit better in this orientation. I'm not sure exactly why, but it looks good. It's right in the center. I've got it in. I've got to have a shim made for the base of the compression post where it fits in the bilge. I've cleaned out the bilge area as best I can. I might try one more time with a bit more of the solvent to clean up anything that I haven't got so far, and then that's going to be all painted white before the compression post gets its final installation. I had to play around a lot with the post to get it in the right orientation, and the conclusion I came to is that we need to build up a little bit of glass on the cabin top to build out this area here, because otherwise I can't get the compression post plumb. So I think that's the best way to do it. I can't really have them angle that compression post piece, because then it'll be hard to get in here. It's a little lower there, the cabin top. So I think the best thing is for me to just build a nice solid place where the compression post will be. The compression post is now in place. I've got to shim up the base of it. That piece of plywood is taking the place of the aluminum shim that will eventually go in there. I have to pick that up in the next day or so. The bilge I've cleaned out as best I can. That's going to be all painted white. And moving up to the top of the post where the plate is. I found that the cabin top isn't exactly at a 90-degree angle to the bulkheads. So in order to get the compression post plumb, I'm going to have to build up the a section of the cabin top. Right here, I'm going to have to fill that with some epoxy. Here it fits nice and tight. Here I have to build it up, well, somewhere between 1/4 inch and nothing. So I'm going to put some thickened epoxy in there and go with that. Initially I had this tight, and that causes the compression post to not be straight up and down. So after playing with it for some time, the only way I can get it to be 100% plumb is to fill this area. So that's the plan for that. And so what I've been told is to tape the top of the post so that the epoxy can't adhere to it, and then put some thickened epoxy in on the top of the post, put the post in and let it cure, and then because the tape's on there, it won't adhere to the surface of the tape, and I can pull that back out of there and have a nice flat even surface for the top of the compression post to support. So it's progress, and it'll be good to get this job finished. You know, a lot of jobs are started, but none are really come to any conclusion yet. So it'll be nice to get this compression post in, get the bilge painted, get the post in permanently, and that'll be one job finished. So the area up here I built this up because the post originally was a little bit tilted. It wasn't plumb, it wasn't straight up and down. So I built this area up, and in doing so I found that there's quite a curvature to the cabin top. Not a significant curvature, but enough that the plate wouldn't have been supporting except for anything on the edge. So now that I've built it up with the epoxy thickened with fiberglass, it's a nice flat surface for the post to sit on and support the cabin top evenly throughout the area. So that's all built up now. The next step is to actually install the post and then work at securing the bottom of the post and where the post goes through the floor. So it'll be secured here. It'll be held by the compression between the deck and the bottom of the compression post, and also will be secured in the floor. I'm going to make it really a tight fit in the floor where the extrusion goes through, so there's no shift this way. The post is also welded at the top, so it can't move very much, but that'll secure it 100%, so there's no movement in the post. So I'm ready to install the post. I've got this all epoxied up, built up this area. There's a little bit of a drop down here, but the plate, when the plate sits here, it's solidly against the cabin top. And I'm going to fill this all with 5200, so that should also fill in this slight void, but everything's set to go for this. I've sanded it. I should probably wipe it down with some solvent before I install it. I'm going to do a trial fit and make sure everything is 100%, and then it's time to epoxy the post in. I'm going to use the 5200. It was recommended to me. I don't use 5200 on many things, but since this is going to be a permanent install, I don't see any need to have it removable. So once it's in here, it's done. I'm committed, and that's the next step. Is going to be obviously trial fitting the post and making sure everything's fine and it all works. So before I put the post in, I decided that I would make up some templates for the floor. The floor has 2 layers of 3/4 inch ply. So that's the top one, marked, bow stern port, and so on. And the same with this one, so it fits in that location. I actually cut out a bit more so that I could fit that in, but I figured it was best to do this first because then I can make a template up just to fit the post, and then place it in the middle. I guess I'll have to do some very careful measuring to find out where the post would be with respect to the floor pieces. So anyway, I figured it was better to do that first because it'd be a lot easier than trying to figure out where to cut and how to get this to surround the post nice and tight. So I figured I'd do that first. Hi guys, well, I am using a microphone now. One of my subscribers suggested that, and I thought it was a good idea, so I went out and purchased one. So as you can see, the post is in place. It's not 5200 it in yet. It is simply a trial fit, and the trial looks good. Everything's fine. The shim is underneath the post, and all is well. So now what I intend to do is wrap the post in plastic just to protect it from the 5200, so we're not going to get anything on there. Then I'll drop the post, put the 5200 in, and tighten everything up, and call it done. It'll be nice to get the post in. It's just one job we can say we've started and finished. I'll probably still have some work to do in the build section because I want to build up a little bit of epoxy around the bottom of the post, but that's a minor detail. So everything looks good so far. I applied 5200 to the cabin top and installed the compression post. It's now in place, and I'm quite satisfied with what the results are. It's the top. At the floor level, I just secured it just in case there was any shift, and I put the shim under, and I did apply some 5200 to the top of the shim, between the shim and the compression post. So everything looks good with that. I'm happy with that. One more thing out of the way. So I'm in the process of filling in this area around the post where the floor is. So I've made up pieces that fit. Now there were 2 layers here initially, so I'm replacing the 2 layers. Trying to find the pieces. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And they fit in rather snugly, which is nice. There's not a lot of pressure on them, but they're fitting in there to give that post just that little bit more support. There we go. 2 layers. Now I can put my access hatches back in. I made a new access hatch for behind the post, and that's it. So that's another step finished in completing the compression post. I'm going to take all this back out and paint the bilge area, and that's pretty much it for the compression post for now, at least. So when we're ready to put the floor back in, then I'll fill in these areas where these pieces fit, just to fill in the small gaps, and maybe fill in a little bit around the compression post. But really overall it's a pretty tight fit, so that's good. That's another thing that's going to stop that compression post from moving. Not that I think that it would move the way it's epoxied in, but it's also just that little bit more support. This is a still shot of the completed bilge area once I'd painted it. I also put some epoxy around the base of the compression post, basically covering that shim, so the shim is now encapsulated in the epoxy, so is the lower part of the compression post. Future projects will be a winter cover. I intend to basically sew that and obviously cover the boat. But the other purpose of that winter cover is going to be so that I can do some of the repairs that need to be done to the deck come next spring. I do intend to continue with some of the repairs during the winter months. I'm going to try to work through the winter as much as I can. I'm not sure what the projects will be in the winter. Obviously I won't be doing any of the glassing or anything like that, but removing some of the white melamine from the bulkheads and various other projects yet to be determined. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video hopefully shortly.